In my last video, I encouraged you to take a risk with your conversations. I acknowledge that even in difficult conversations, things are supposed to be messy and complicated, and that's kind of the point. But as long as you're learning from it and making progress, the risk is worth it. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give you some tools to help ease your navigation of the difficult conversation and to minimize the risk of the regret that you might feel if you do mess up. So in today's video, I want to share a few tools I have that I use going into difficult conversations that certainly help me present myself in a way that I feel good about. But first, subscribe to this channel, like this video, hit the bell so that you can get notifications. And of course, if you have something to say, please type it in the comments below so that we can engage and have a dialogue. The first thing I do going into a difficult conversation is I practice it in my head. Now, there's no way to anticipate my partner's reactions to me, but I can certainly control what I need to say and how I want to show up. So I literally think about what attitude and mindset I need to be in before I have that conversation. I need to think about the words and the language I want to use in that conversation. I need to think about what I really want to say and what's a must and what's a deal breaker. What would I say that would really mess things up that I know is the wrong thing to say, and eliminate those things from my speech. So that's the first thing, is rehearse. The second thing is, as I go into that difficult conversation, set some ground rules so that the conversation feels safe and that we both have the promise that we will recover from this even if we mess up, and we probably will. So some ground rules that really help me are, let's assume positive intent. And the second one is, let's make sure that our relationship stays intact. That this might be messy and complicated, and we might say things that inadvertently hurt each other, but we are here to love each other and stay in relationship. So you can think of all kinds of ground rules. So confidentiality might be another one, or that this conversation is the start of a larger conversation. Or 3, let's make sure we acknowledge each other in the process of this conversation. Yesterday, I had a difficult conversation, and I didn't have a chance to rehearse because it happened in the moment. I saw an opportunity to say something that felt scary for me to say and definitely required some courage, and I went for it. I didn't want to lose the opportunity. What I noticed myself doing was acknowledging the other person first. Before I even made my request, which I felt was a very difficult request to make, I acknowledged her. I said, let me first acknowledge that I know you are a self-reflective person. I know that you have good intentions, and I know that you want to do the right thing. And then I made my request, which was a difficult thing for me to share, and I thought might have been a difficult thing for her to hear. So before I said it, I said, listen, friend, I'm about to say something that's hard for me to say, and it might be hard for you to hear. Are you willing to try? And she said yes. So notice I've pre-framed the difficult conversation. I set an expectation of what this conversation is going to feel like for me and my guess at what it might feel like for her. And then I asked permission before I made my request. And if she had said no, I would have honored it and I would not have shared it. I would have said, okay, well, when would be a good time for me to share my request with you? Luckily, she said yes, and I was able to share my request. We talked about it. She didn't immediately accept my request. We negotiated a little bit. And did we come out stronger? Yes. Was it messy? Yes. Did we both say things that we might have regretted? Yes. But thanks to our ground rules of positive intent and to remain in an intact relationship, we got through it. And I honestly believe that this is the start of a larger conversation between her and I. And actually, now we can go even deeper. So I want to encourage you, again, to not shy away from having those difficult conversations, but to insulate yourself with some of these tools to help you navigate them a little bit more effectively. So ground rules, pre-frame, Ask for what you need and be honest. Tell me what you think.